We do the CEO hour and create habits, routines for the next week.
Find when people start taking a really close look at their calendar, they get a lot better about their boundaries and they start putting more rules in place.
If I had $1 for how many times I've heard business owners say, I feel so busy, but I'm not making any progress. I'm not moving forward.
Be intentional to take control of our time, to be able to show up on Monday and have a game plan that's going to help us win the week.
When you have routines that keep you grounded, you stop reacting to everything and start leading with intention. And that in return will help you. I hate using peace of mind. I feel like peace of mind is so overused, but really fall back in love with business.
Hey there, my little biz besties. Welcome back to In Good Company, where real entrepreneurs share real growth stories. Thanks for liking and subscribing to my channel. Let's get into it.
I am thrilled to talk to someone that the first thing that popped up on your one pager, because this, I cannot explain the brain tickle I got when I read this. The theme for the one pager said structure equals freedom. Planning creates clarity, calm, and momentum. And that gave me the brain tickle because I get on this soapbox, me, myself, and I, to myself, and preach to myself about how I thought being a business owner would be and what it ends up being sometimes. And then I started other businesses. So when you're a multiple business owner and you feel overwhelmed, you hate your job, and you wonder, why am I doing this? It's always a constant reminder to myself, there's a system or process that's not working for you. So we need to do some internal thinking, because it's not my employee's job to create this internal process. That's my job as the person over everybody. So read the theme, got the brain tickle. Interesting enough, I've spoken to creative business strategists. I've spoken to business coaches. You were the first one that this was the theme.
Oh.
Yes.
Cool.
So I was like,
one.
Yes. So in your own words, tell us who you are and what do you do as a business strategist?
All right. Well, my name is Kathleen Lawson, and I live outside of Boston, Massachusetts, up in New England. And as a business strategist, I work with primarily female business owners, and I help them stop winging it. So we are putting the structure and strategy in place so that they can run their business with confidence, with clarity, for it to be the business that they thought they were going to run. Like you mentioned, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And that is actually a line that a lot of people come to me with. I've been running this business for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and this is not what I thought it was going to be. And that's kind of where I come in. So it's really about helping put that structure in place so that you don't feel like you're losing your mind all the time and you're running a business that you want to run and that is fun for you and that you can also have your life.
Yes, I love that. And you mentioned that you work with mostly females. Was that intentional, or do you feel like that's who you kind of just started attracting?
I guess a little of both. I sort of leaned that way in the beginning, and then it became clear that that was really my sweet spot. And I think it was because of the way that I left the corporate world, and that was because I left at the time that I had a set of twins that were born early, that were I had NICU and all the things. And the company I worked for, even though I had spent most of that pregnancy on a half schedule because of all sorts of complications, they were like, well, no, you can't have any flexibility. You have to be here all the days, all the hours. And they wouldn't budge an inch. And so I left, and then, and this was 25 years ago. I mean, my twins just turned 25 this fall. And but I have had a couple of businesses since then, and I really started this business with the thought in mind that I wanted to help other women. But I have had a couple of businesses since then, and I really started this business with the thought in mind that I wanted to help other women who were in the position that I had been in to have to grow a business that could support them, that could provide the income that they needed for their family, and that they could do around their kids and their family and all of that. So so I definitely want to be able to help women who I think get a little bit of, just don't get treated the way that I think they should in the corporate world. So.
It sounds like you created the business you wish you would have had.
Yes.
During that time. Yes.
100%.
And some of the best businesses are created for not only your life, but you're building something to make sure it doesn't happen to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's leading with intention. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny how sometimes we start a business with, I'm just going to work with girls. Like, I'm a girl's girl, I want to be surrounded by women. I want to talk to women. My team is full of women. And sometimes that shifts, and sometimes it stays really just steadfast. And that sounds like
it has. And I have worked with a couple men, and interestingly, so I worked with a man for several years, and I actually still am very in touch with him. But he came to me because he needed to make a big change in his business, because he wanted to shift he had a passion project, and he wanted to be able to pull himself out of his regular business to put more time over here. And his wife said, you need to find a woman to work with you, because women constantly reinvent themselves. They know how to do it. You need to reinvent yourself now. So you need a woman to kind of guide you through that. And that's how we ended up working together, and we worked together for years. And then I actually have a male client right now, but it's a couple, so they own a business together. So I have worked with a couple of men, but I definitely, I think my messaging and everything that I do just definitely attracts women, and that's my sweet spot, and that's where I end up working.
I love that a wife was like, you need a woman in your life
smart?
to help. Yeah. I mean, she knew what was up. And it's funny when we look at the stats for this podcast, I just mentioned when I started my business, every business I've started with the intention of, I'm a girl's girl. Like, I'm a queen. I want to work with other queens, right? And it never stays like that. Every business I have, the firm, the podcast, I own a salon, every single one, there's this shift, and I don't know it consciously. But when we were looking at the stats of this podcast, I felt like I already know what they're going to say. 100% women, 100% elder millennials and older. And what happened was the exact opposite. We have a heavier male audience than female. And, I ask my husband, we've had male guests on here, and I say, why? And they say there is something about a woman leader that brings a nurturing side to business and strategy that businesses today so desperately need.
Yep.
And I feel that with you, because you are systems, and, you're the foundation. Let's talk about the black and white, more masculine energy stuff, so you can live a freer, maybe more aligned business. Yeah. So I love that. I just meet such interesting people, Kathleen. So I love seeing how it all kind of connects. So we're helping women. We created the business that we needed 25 years ago. Twins are just... they're all, every time you hear about twins, it's never an easy. They were cooked for 10 months. They came out in 10 minutes, and everything was beautiful. So you're
it's
like that.
Yeah, but they, you know what? They were definitely more trouble in utero. They've been good boys, so they've been fine.
Good for them. God, they knew. They were like, all right, you changed your whole life for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to make your life a little easier. Love
Yeah.
that. I have 2 boys too, and they're wild heathens. They
Yeah.
do not make life easier.
They're all kind of wild. I actually have 5 boys altogether. I have 2 stepsons and then 3, and then I had twins, and then I had 1 more after that. So I've raised
gosh.
5 boys. Yeah. So it's
So
kind
outnumbered.
of chaos for sure
Yeah.
around my house. I still have 3 of them
Yes.
under the roof here. My youngest has just started
Yeah.
college, so he's kind of
Okay.
in and out, and
Yeah. Oh,
but it's definitely a different kind of energy, I think, than
yes.
than the girls.
It is. It is. I always tell people the quietest time in my house is business hours, because that's when everybody's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, business hours are the quietest time. So with everything in your current household, multiple kids, do you have any animals?
No, one of my kids is
Just
really
kids.
allergic, so we can't have any animals. Yeah,
Oh, well, kick him out. The others can stay.
yeah,
Yeah. You're like, maybe. He's actually the best one, so no.
yeah,
My kids always ask me who my favorite is, and I'm like,
yeah,
you both can keep trying.
yeah.
Keep shooting for the favorite. It changes every day.
It does change every day. I can't let them know you're my favorite today. Yeah, so
Yeah, depending on the mood. So we have a lot going on. You are not new to business. So there is a reason that you are still showing up for your business, because you're doing something right. So what are some weekly routines, or what are some things that really make the biggest difference for solopreneurs? Because there are 100 bajillion books out there, 100 bajillion podcasts, and it can feel overwhelming if all of these different outlets are telling you conflicting things.
right.
So we're hearing it first here from Kathleen. What are some things that we can be doing?
So one of the big things that I like to have people implement, and that I talk about all the time, is a weekly planning routine. And
Okay.
that was that's where everything changed for me, because I used to, I'd come into Monday morning, and I've always liked the term, like, you kind of crash landed, and it's like, what do I do? And I found that I would waste like literally half my day trying to, stop and start, and what should I do? And I don't know if I should do that. And it was frustrating. And I found over the weekends I would stress about the upcoming week, and I was like, all right, I need to like get a handle on this. And so I started this sort of like weekly planning. And when I did it on Mondays, it was like, all right, this is like, it's too late. I need it earlier. And then I backed it up to Sundays. And then I was like, I don't want to work over the weekend. So then I backed it up to Fridays. And now that's where I've been for years. And so I planned the following week on Friday, and I call it CEO hour. And I've got, it's a service I offer. I facilitate. People come in and they plan their week. And the beauty of this is that there's no more crash landing on Monday. You are just so much more intentional with your time. So we take this time to sort out the when, like, what does the calendar look like? And this way there's no more, conflicts with meetings, and you get the right buffer time you need before and after things. And you get to be really intentional. I find when people start taking a really close look at their calendar, they get a lot better about their boundaries, and they start putting more rules in place, because they're really paying attention to it. And they'll be like, you know what, I don't want any more meetings before like 11. I want to have that morning time to work on stuff, and then I'm going to have meetings here, or I don't want to do any more meetings on Fridays, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And they just get really clear on what they want and don't want when they're looking at it really closely. So that's the first part. Then we get into like, what's our game plan for the week? So this is about just really having a handle on the task management part, and making sure that we're equating like the big goals with our action items. Like, I have this goal, but how do I break it down, and what do I actually do when I sit down at my desk tomorrow? So making sure that those things are there. And then like all the weekly routines. And so we use this time to really to be intentional, to take control of our time, to be able to show up on Monday and have a game plan that's going to help us win the week. So often with business owners, they just kind of carry this massive list from week to week. And even if they're looking at a week where they have, maybe it's a heavy meeting week and they have absolutely no time, they still drag this gigantic list in there. And then they feel like a huge failure, like I got nothing done. And rather than say, all right, you know what, this week's really crazy. This list needs to stay over here. And what do I need to do this week? You know what, the most important things are this, this, and this. And now I've got something I can handle, I can end up winning the week, feel good about it, and progress the most important things. Because when you're stressed and in the moment and you don't have time, you go for the easiest thing. You don't go for the right thing. You go for the easiest.
Yeah.
And so this like helps us make sure that we're progressing the right things. We also take time then to look at numbers, a lot of CEO things.
Yeah.
So that to me is the most important thing. And, and having that time protected and that like kind of container of space to do that is number one. That's the top thing for me. And again, that makes sure that you're progressing the right priorities, because like I said, in the moment, we'll scramble for the easiest thing to do. What's the easiest thing I can check off my list? And that's, that's not going to move you forward. I think one of the other things is your business development routine, and it's, and whatever that is, you've got to, everybody's business is different, but I know working with mostly service-based business or all service-based business owners, like networking and follow up, like that's always a big part of it, the engagement on social media. So like having, what's your little routine around that and making sure that every week you're doing that, because I think one of the other traps for business owners is that when we're busy with client work, we drop the business development and then, no pipeline. And then all of a sudden projects wrap up and you're like, oh, there's nobody waiting. Now what? And that's like, people's income goes up and down because then they start over from scratch. So you have to have that routine. You have to identify that routine, kind of lay it out, and then stick with that every week so that you always have that pipeline. So those are, I guess, I would say are probably the two most important things on a weekly basis.
You mentioned CEO hour. Is that you said we, if I heard correctly?
Yeah.
So you will do, let me back up. My mind is blown a little bit. When everything feels like it's on fire, maybe not me. We'll just use
somebody else.
Another person named Ashley that has mentioned that it has more than one business. And she has this long list, and I'm a paper girl. So I physically and mentally carry the list from week to week. And everything feels like it's on fire, and it's hard to prioritize when everything is priority number one, right? And you have the strong team. Again, we're talking about another girl named Ashley. She has a strong team. She loves a planner. She loves lists, but everything's on fire. You are saying as a strategist that you do this hour of planning with said business owner, not me, another Ashley, and sit and go through priorities and the next week. We're avoiding Sunday scaries, is what I think people say, and the Monday morning chaos. We can't make plans in the week that we're already in because we're already in the week. So they're saying we sit together, we do the CEO hour, and create habits, routines for the next week. Is that about right?
That's correct. I actually do it a couple times on Friday because I have a couple different sets of people that do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a group or individual?
In a group. So I have two. It's one of my services, and and the other thing too, I didn't really talk about this, but you mentioned the Friday and the Sunday scaries. One of the other benefits of doing this on Friday is that then you go into the weekend and it's all taken care of. Like there's no more like, oh my gosh, do I have that meeting? Oh my gosh, should I do this? You've laid eyes on it all. It's all set. You're ready to go, and so you can go off into your weekend and not worry about anything. And that peace of mind was just huge for me, especially when with kids in the house and you're busy and like you don't want to panic about things. But that's what we do. I facilitate that time. People are, there. So it's a community and people are in their office and I'm like, okay, now we're going to do this. And now we're going to do this. And I will bring up little strategies and I'll, reminders. And, like this week, for example, the 15th, tax day, like, hey, don't forget, you got to pay estimated taxes. Don't forget this holiday's coming up. Do you have your, calendar set on this? Don't forget, so like, well, and there's lots of little time management strategies and we'll kind of bring those up and then I'll and then once in a while we'll be like, okay, what's been hanging out on your list for a really long time that you're avoiding? Let's address the things we're avoiding today.
The hard ones.
Yeah. We either need to just delete it, or we need to make a plan, or we need to, what's the problem here? And, everyone has those things. They just, every week they're like, we'll look at that next week. And every couple of weeks it's like, all right, we need to deal with those things. So
what are we doing?
Yeah. So I kind of facilitate that as we go through.
I love that. Do you think what you're doing, the preparation, the people you're working with, you always hear solopreneurs are always busy, but they always feel behind. Do you think that this intentional time that you're sitting down with these owners talking about the week ahead is helping kind of correct that? Because I hear that all the time. I really do. And when I saw this on the one pager, I thought, if I had $1 for how many times I've heard business owners say, I feel so busy, but I'm not making any progress. I'm not moving forward. What's happening here?
Yep. And that's part of it. And the other piece of it that I do with these guys is quarterly planning. So when I first got into my business, I read the book, what's it called? The 12-Week Year? Is that what it's called? The 12-Week Year. And that really, I was like, oh, I like this. Because I had come from an annual planning background, and it was like, this is too long, it's too far, the goalpost is so far I can't even see it, and
so much to plan.
And then we wait till it's urgent. So the quarterly plan, the 12-week, 90-day, whatever you want to call it, really spoke to me. And I think for most small business owners, I haven't really run into anybody whose business didn't work for that. I mean, maybe there's something out there, but most of the people that I work with, this time frame works, and it works for a couple of reasons. One, it's long enough to get things done, but it's short enough that you can see the goalposts, and so you get right into action, because that's right. All right, I have 12 weeks. I've identified this goal, and I'm going to get this thing done. And so I think what that does is then that's another level of prioritization. So we sit down, and when you mention like this business owner's got like all these things I'm trying to do, well, so we brainstorm, we get them all out, and like, okay, here's all the things I could be working on. I have these sales goals, these marketing projects I want to take on. I have this operational thing. I want to get better at delegating. Like I have all these things I want to work on. Well, you can't progress all of them at once. It's too much. And so it's like, all right, we're going to prioritize what's going to make the biggest impact on your business, like right now. Like, what do you have to work on? And so then we say, all right, you know what? I really need to do this and this. And everything else just gets put aside for right now. We focus, we get those things done, then we do the next. Because if we focus in and try and do less, we actually get more done versus trying to do like all the things at once and you make no progress. And it gives you permission to like knock those things aside. Like, you know what? I would love to redo my website, but we're going to talk about that next quarter. Or I would love to start this new service, but we're going to talk about that later. Right now, I'm getting my back end systems in line, so then I can offer the new service next quarter.
Right. Yeah. It's small, it's little small, almost mindset shifts too, because I know, it's a new year. So we hear a lot of like, new year, new me. And when you think about starting something and having a goal for an entire year, your brain says, you got a whole year, girl. You want to lose 50 pounds? Just wait until October. Like, you don't have to change anything right now.
Right.
Like, it's fine. So these small mindset shifts, and even structural shifts, because quarterly planning is unfortunately not as common. As an accountant, I meet with people once a year. Sometimes more if they'll allow us. We love it, but they don't want to. They want to do it once a year. But those are always the people that are playing the reacting instead of being proactive. So you're saying small shifts, planning, Fridays, quarterly planning, are creating this big clarity. This big movement. And I love that. You're giving them wins more often.
Yes, absolutely. And you end up getting more done because you get focused, you get those things done, then you can, it's sequencing, instead of trying to do everything all at once. It's like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that. And then you actually get those things done.
And then you actually do it. Because that big list, no one person can get this big list done in a day. I read a quote somewhere that said, we all have the same amount of hours in our day as Beyonce.
Yeah.
And I think about that probably too much, because I think she gets so much done in a day, but she probably has laser sharp focus on what's important for that day, and everything else is either taken care of by other people,
Yeah.
or put on a different list.
Yeah.
So I love that. You kind of casually mentioned that you came from corporate, and then you started a business. I'm curious, as someone that also works with a lot of women who do a lot of shifting based on seasonality and what they're going through. Most of the time, kids, some kind of kids situation happens. What happened? We had twins. What was leading up? Tell me the story.
Like how I ended up, like what?
Yeah, well, how? That's such a shift. That's Kathleen.
Okay.
You can't be casual. That's a big shift.
Okay. So my professional background was in marketing. I started in advertising and corporate marketing. And when I left corporate, I didn't know what I was going to do. At that moment, my priority was
Right.
2 4.5-pound babies.
Yes, two human beings.
Human beings. So I, now keep in mind then, this was the year 2000. So this was prior to social media and the
Yes.
whole online space. So I thought about consulting. I have an MBA, and I was like, maybe I'll do some consulting. Well, I had 2 male friends who did not have children to care for, and who were starting some consulting, and they were driving into the city, which is not close to me, every day, and like networking all day. And I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? So I'll tell you, I was probably the person most surprised by this, but I ended up in a direct sales company. And that is where I kind of learned the coaching piece. And the whole thing there was helping. So I was working with women it was all women. They all had families. They were trying to earn income for their families. They were trying to work around the kids. They had to set year-long sales goals. They had to break them down. They had to do all this marketing. So I did all of this coaching and everything. And that's where I kind of pulled that piece from. And then as years went by, my kids got a little bit older, my time freed up, and then the virtual world happened. So then social media happened. And I was actually the first person I knew who promoted a business online. Like I was promoting on Facebook in like 2008.
Yeah. Trendsetter.
I know. And so at that point, things like the world started providing the opportunities where I'm like, okay, now there's all of this, and things were starting to happen online. And so then I started doing a little bit of consulting, a little bit of freelance work. It was business plans, marketing plans, that kind of thing. And then I got to the point where I had a little more space. And so then I was like, okay, now I'm going to start this like official business. I want to be full. I want to work, full time. And then at that point, kind of everything was aligned. There was like this online space. I could market online. I could talk to people virtually. I could, I could do all these things. And that's when I started this business.
You were like, let's do it. I mean, I don't have anything else to do except 5 children.
Yeah. But what I really love when I look back is that what I do now, it really was an evolution, and I've taken bits of everything, because I started in marketing and I did a lot of strategy and execution because I worked in advertising. And then I was working with people on how to work around their kids and how to break down goals. And so like all of these things just sort of rolled into it. And, and now what I do is really a culmination of everything I've ever done. So,
yeah, you were building your tool belt from the minute
I was.
those little babies.
Yeah.
We're like, we're here and we're ready. Because I hear that often with women is, they didn't graduate high school, get a degree, and then say, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. The women I hear from say, I had no idea this is what was going to happen.
No. Yeah, totally. And even like where I am now, like when I first started this business, I thought I'd be a little bit more operational. And the very first client who
Yeah.
hired me, I said, "All right, what are we doing?" And she said, "I don't know. What should I do?" And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
Um, and
that's
so
funny.
like really quickly, I realized that, and the next couple of people that hired me, it was all the same thing. Like they really needed help on the strategy and the planning and all
Yeah.
of that. So with that, I made that shift very quickly, and then it's just been growing since then.
Yeah. And shifting to what you're seeing people need. Because, years ago in 2000, I mean, what a time to be alive, honestly. I'm so grateful that I knew life before social media. But you had to figure out the skills first because most people today, the younger people that always had social media, there's a lack of skill.
Yeah.
Maybe they're great at editing videos, they're great at content, but then they get on a call, a face-to-face call, and they lack a little bit because there's no skill in communication. There's no skill in sales and how to talk about what you do and how to think every client's not the same, but most of my clients have a similar need. So you were building those before to
Yeah.
get where you are now. So I love that. My oldest does not know a world without social media. And
Yeah.
so I feel like sometimes, and let me know if you do this, that sometimes, so he's 14, that I am trying to teach him those skills you can't learn on social media. So much so that he's like, God, I know how to talk to people. I know how to order food. And then we get in the restaurant and they're like, what would you like? And he's like, Mom. So
Yeah.
it's like learning these simple skills that there's this lack because they're an online generation. Do you do that?
It
Or
is.
or
It's
my kid's just broken?
No, it's true. And my kids, I think one of the things that's helped them is they've all had customer facing jobs like through high school. Like they work,
Yep.
my youngest runs the front desk in a huge like entertainment complex. One was a grocery store, person, and now is a
Yep.
bartender, like they all
That's
like
good.
learned. And actually one of them worked at Trader Joe's, and he used to get
God, I love Trader Joe's.
they would get measured on customer interaction. So I would be driving him to
Oh,
work at
really?
like 16, and he's like, "All right, I need some topics to talk about today." And so I'm like, "All
Oh,
right, like, there's, this is happening or that's happening in the world." And so he would have like a few
yeah.
things to be able to start talking to people. And it's funny because you see a lot of people online kind of joking about like the conversations they have with the Trader Joe's people, but the Trader Joe's people were
Yeah.
actually like they were measured on that. So that's why it was so like that's why it happened.
Well, it's so good. That's what, because I mean, if they're being measured on it, they have to make sure they're constantly staying up to date and having topics.
Yeah, so
Oh,
here
I
was a
love that.
16-year-old kid who was being,
Yeah.
yeah, rated on how he was talking to adults. So he learned to
That's scary. Yeah, that's scary. Have you ever heard of Seven Brew?
seven brew.
The
No,
Seven Brew coffee shop? I'm curious if they've made it up your way yet.
no.
It is a newer franchise and it's popping up all over Kentucky, Indiana, Nashville area, and it's kind of sweeping the nation.
Hmm.
And it's a big thing right now about how the Seven Brew, what the atmosphere is like, the environment, and it's consistent across the board. So it's always really loud.
Uh,
So that's kind of rough. But it's a drive-through coffee shop. You don't go in the storefront, and the music's always really loud. But the people that work there, like the Trader Joe's people, are rated on their customer service. And so sometimes you see people kind of complaining like, oh, it's 7 a.m. and they're like, do you have plans today? And, and they're like, to drink my coffee. That's my plan. But I think that, yeah, like, I don't know. It's really loud and overstimulating in here. But I think that it's so special that, because it's mostly young people that
yeah.
are working, that we're teaching, kind of forcing how to communicate with people. And so when you are working with business owners, are you working with a variety of age ranges, or do you feel like it's mostly this age and above?
I do have a pretty broad age range. I mean, I have a lot
Cool.
of women that are in their They're probably like between 40 and
Okay.
60, but I do have like 30s
Yeah.
and I have a 20 something in one of my groups.
Yeah.
And
So you see all different kinds of communication
I
styles.
do, I do. And I have again women who are coming out of corporate. I have women who've had other kinds of jobs and different things. So definitely a wide range. I think
know.
what they have in common is that they were all really good at the thing that they do,
Yeah.
whatever it was. And it's becoming a business owner and having to be responsible for all the things, kind of like what you said in the very, very beginning. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to have to do all this stuff. And, I think that's the tough spot. But the communication, I mean, that's one of those soft skills, and it's like super important. And especially as a service
Yeah.
provider, because for most of us, people, I mean, there are some services that people will just go online and buy, but for a lot of it,
Yeah.
like you have to have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
And it matters.
yeah, it
If
really
you can
does.
hold it. Yeah, it does. And so I love that you're working with a lot of different age ranges. I did not expect that when I started my businesses. Again, I thought I would attract me. I thought all my business owners that come to me for tax help are going to be exactly like me. So it has also forced me to be able to talk to the general contractor, be able to talk to the plumber, but also the life coach and, and the wedding venue people. And so we're growing. we're growing. I want to go back to the theme because I did get the brain tickle. Why do you think structure equals freedom? But why does it also feel counterintuitive, but also true?
Because people can be so I tend to work with a lot of creatives,
Yeah.
and not just like I mean, first of all, people that are in traditionally creative industries or creative jobs like marketing
Okay.
people, interior designers, that kind of thing. But also,
Yeah.
I mean, even like corporate people I work with, but they're creative people, and I think a lot of people, especially especially creatives, are resistant to structure because for some reason they think it's going to ruin their creativity, their inspiration. And so they're like, okay, I left this corporate job. I now work for myself. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And so I'm going to toss all of the structure out the window because they equate the structure with the corporate thing they want to leave. So now they're there with no structure. So they're working all the hours, all the days, they're making decisions all day long, they're winging it. And that is all just so like overwhelming. And it's like constant, in your head all day long. And so the reason structure brings freedom is that basically it gets rid of all the decision making in the moment. The decision fatigue is a real thing. So if we set standard packages, if we have a proposal template, if we have a system for doing this, if we have a way, and I've got a plan for the week, like all these things, we're kind of like deciding them ahead of time. And so then in the moment, I'm not having to constantly make 1,000 little tiny decisions all day long.
Right.
And, things like I don't have to stress and worry about business development because I know that tomorrow morning I'm going to spend an hour on it, and Thursday morning I'm going to spend an hour on it, and Friday morning I'm going to spend an hour, and there's already a place in my calendar for it. So I don't need to sit here and worry about it and stress about it because
Right.
there's a place for it. And I don't have to wing it when a new customer comes in because I have this process and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, and it's already been decided. I don't have to think about it. So that, and then in terms of the time management, if I decide, I'm working these hours, that also is saying I'm not working these other hours. And so, between
Right.
all of that, that is why structure equals freedom.
Oh, I love that. It's setting. So we're already planning on Fridays in our CEO hour, which is actually allowing more freedom the next week because those things are already decided.
Yeah.
The automations that you can put in place are actually freeing because you don't have to do all those processes manually every single time.
Right. And if you have, like, for example, in your accounting business, I assume you have like kind of this, if you want this kind of package or this kind of package, you're going to have bookkeeping, you're going to have accounting, you're going to have your tax, you're going to have whatever. Like
Right.
instead of every person coming up and you start from scratch going, okay,
Yeah.
let me Let me think about
Whatever you
this.
need.
And one of the things that happens there that adds a lot of extra stress when people don't have that set, it's the pricing mindset stuff, because then they've got to decide pricing, and in a moment that is so stressful for so many people. Like decide, oh my gosh, is that too low? Is that too high? Can I really charge that? Will they do that? But I don't think that person has as much money, and they go through all this
Right.
stuff, and it's super
yeah.
stressful. But if you decide, here's the package and this is what it costs, then it takes all that emotion out of that, and the person either buys it or they don't. And it's like, that's not your job to make that decision for them. And you don't
Right.
know, like you meet somebody and you think, I don't think they have money. Pfft, you don't know. They could
never know.
they could have loads of money. Like, you don't know.
For sure. And oh my gosh, pricing can feel so emotional, and those decisions that you can make beforehand, take that right out of your brain.
Yeah.
My oldest he says I'm the Adam Sandler of the world. I'm the Adam Sandler of the accounting world. Now, obviously I always feel like he's trying to like insult me because I'm a millennial
He's a
mom.
14-year-old boy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're just trying to get me. But what he meant was that, well, I wear whatever I want. I was a corporate girly, and felt like I was in prison every day because I had to wear business professional. So I wear whatever I want, but also because when you look at me, you might think, girl, are you okay? Like, do you have a home? And that's how Adam Sandler looks. So I say that because it's so easy to judge. I know. See, when he called me Adam Sandler, I was like, he's trying to hurt me. But I had to dig it out, and it probably took 5 to 7 business days to get an answer out of him. But you just never know what people have going on based on how they look, how they talk, what kind of car they drive. So take that out. Automations, templates. Do you use a project management software? Do you encourage it? How do you like to plan?
So I use both an online system and, like you, I like paper too, because I really believe in that mind, hand, pen.
Me too.
But I can't manage everything. I mean, I've got all these clients. I have all my own marketing and everything to do. So I do use ClickUp for my task management.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes it easy to manage and move things and change dates. But today's top priorities are actually written down in my planner, because I don't end up in there like all day long. I've got my list right here, and I like to have that. So it depends on the person's business. I mean, I've worked with people who have, a very simple business, and they don't do client work, and their only to-dos are really like their own marketing, and that's very easy to manage. And then I have other people, like you think about somebody who is like a web designer or marketing strategist, and they've got like loads of client tasks, and they're managing across a lot of people. You cannot manage that on paper. Like, that has to be online. There's just too many moving parts. So it depends on the person's business. And I've had clients in all sorts of different task management or project management systems. So it just, everyone's kind of got one that they like.
There's a lot of different ones out there.
There's a lot of different ones out there. There's a ton.
I am learning, because we live in QuickBooks, and in the past couple of years, there have been so many different softwares popping up.
Yeah.
Because of the, it's 2026. But we use Monday for our project management.
Yeah.
We really like it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So it's funny that you said when you put these things in motion, when you sit down, you plan, you create it, that you'll actually feel freedom. Now, 5 years ago, I would have been like, Kathleen, girl, I'm a vibes girly. Like no, like I have to have space to be creative. And if you tell me to sit down and put a project management software together, you're like trying to cram my style. 5 years ago. But today, I cannot tell you how I wish there was a Kathleen in my life 5 years ago, because the amount of manual things and how long it took to get through them, the amount of times I created the same proposal template in Canva instead of just one, customized proposals that sometimes I would shed a tear over, because I would feel like, I just don't know. I don't know. They had a really sad story, and 5 years ago, Kathleen,
I'm
Could
sorry,
have
I
saved
wasn't
so
there.
much heartache. Where were you? We should have met 5 years ago.
But it's true.
But
Now you've got time and space to do what argue with your kids or
yeah,
whatever you want to do, and you got
yeah,
more
oh yeah,
space.
yeah. Lots of space for that. Boys, it's funny. It comes and goes, right? So sometimes there was this TikTok I saw that said those 10 p.m. moments with boys are the most like precious moments because I talk all day long to them, and it's how was school? Fine. What'd you eat for lunch? I don't know. How's this girl? Are you still? No. But then at 10 p.m.
10 p.m. or in the car. Yeah.
or in the car, the
Car
car
is the
chats,
best.
my gosh, they just unload, and I'm like, I don't want to blink because I don't want to miss anything you're
Yeah.
saying. So systems help free up some of that time for more 10 p.m. moments, car moments. I, again, wish I would have met you 5 years ago, but I'm happy to meet you now because people can be reminded no matter where you are in business, it's never too late to establish routines, to change up a project management software, create new habits. I wanted to, before we close, make sure that our audience knew about your free resource, From Chaos to Clarity. I love a little alliteration.
Don't you?
Tell me, I do because we had it saved in the drive too. So I have
You have it.
looked at this. Yes, I have it, and it is Chef's Kiss So Good. So tell us about it.
So it's about the 5 essential routines that I think every solopreneur should make sure that they've got something going on with there. And it starts with a little bit of an assessment so that you can kind of see where you are. And it's about like your weekly planning. It's about having, your financial routine. It's about business development routine. So it's like these really critical routines. So there's a little assessment. You can kind of see where you are, and that helps you prioritize. Like, all right, if I'm going to put something in place here, and what if I have nothing in place? 5 routines seems like a lot. So this helps you decide, all right, let's do this one first. So it kind of helps you see where you are, and then it helps you kind of get situated with that. So,
I love it.
and and they're simple routines. It's not, I don't like over-engineered systems. I like things that are nice and simple, and that's what this is about. It's about, figuring out what's my nice, easy routine around this so that I can do it on a consistent basis and actually make progress.
Oh, I love that. I think personally, everyone should establish some sort of routine so they don't fall out of love with their business. And routines save us. Structure doesn't box us in. It actually gives us this freedom. And we've kind of talked about that. So when you have routines that keep you grounded, you stop reacting to everything and start leading with intention. And that in return will help you. I hate using peace of mind. I feel like peace of mind is so overused, but really fall back in love with business.
Right. And much calmer and more confident.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes. So anyone that is listening, if you're thinking I need more clarity and less chaos, literally everybody, Kathleen has this free resource. Again, it's called From Chaos to Clarity, 5 essential routines every solopreneur needs. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I had it highlighted. I was like, say the whole thing. It's a great place to start if you want more focus, confidence, and a little bit of calm in your week. We're going to link that in the show notes, so anyone can grab it really easily and go into your world. Kathleen, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and making planning feel just a little more accessible and not overwhelming. I love planning, but I know it's really it's a love-hate for some people.
It is.
You've brought a little bit of calm to that. To our listeners, thank you for being here. If this episode helped you breathe a little easier, send it to a fellow solopreneur who could use that same reminder. And until next time, you're in good company.
Yay.
If I could do it all over again, there'd be no wish I would, should have been. Spend more time with my family and friends. If I could do it all over again, I'd wake up early and start